Hey everybody, do you like Marvel Comics? Do you like the Avengers? Do you like massive airborne watercrafts? Then you also probably would love to hang out on the Helicarrier. Well friends, today we will find out if that could ever be a possibility. Welcome back to Fact or Fictional, the show where we look at cool tech from your favorite movies, TV shows, books, and comics, and ask, is this really possible? And if not, why not? Last week, I was pleased to hear that the real-life NASA would have a bit of a better grip on saving the world than Bruce Willis and Billy Bob did in Armageddon. And what did you guys have to say? Singedra, at least I think that's how you pronounce your name on YouTube, posted, always happy to see someone lambast Armageddon, but I cringe every time she says meteorite when she should be saying meteoroid or when she should be saying meteor. Our scientist friend Joe Hansen responded saying, asteroids are bigger than meteoroids size-wise. At 1,000 kilometers, it's past asteroid classification and into dwarf planet, larger than many moons. It was big enough that its mass should have made it round and not jagged. But I take all blame. No one should be mad at Veronica because that's just mean. Smiley face. Because Joe is a gentleman, you guys. But moving on. So interwebs, you asked for it and you got it. Today we will explore the possibilities and impossibilities of the famous 50-year-old but much evolved S.H.I.E.L.D. helicarrier. Introduced in the 60s by Stanley and Jack Kirby, the S.H.I.E.L.D. helicarrier is a technological marvel. In 2012, Joss Whedon made the famous Marvel ship or aircraft whatever a reality, kinda, but it needed some adjustments. Leave it to Tony Stark to redesign the carrier and give it his Iron Man flair. Now, mankind has achieved some pretty miraculous feats, but a real-life helicarrier would be one for the books. I can't help but hope that someday this thing will exist. And I want to know when. So today I've brought on the ultimate bad astronomer, Phil Plait, to deconstruct this seaborne aircraft monstrosity. Hi, Phil. Glad you could come on the show.
Hey, Veronica. Glad to be here.
Can you tell everyone a little bit about yourself, your background?
Well, I'm an astronomer and a science promoter and a lover of all things geekery and nerdery. And one of the things I like to do is to think about the science of movies and TV shows. Sometimes it's accurate, sometimes it's not. It's a lot of fun to actually figure that out sometimes.
All right, well, today I've brought you on to talk about a ship that I dearly wish were real, the Helicarrier. So do you think Joss Whedon did Stanley and Jack Kirby's Helicarrier model justice without deviating too much from the original? I don't know if you had a chance to take a look at that one. It was invented in the 60s, when computers ran on giant punch cards and science didn't exist.
It's sort of the same idea, and certainly the physics hasn't changed. In the original one, it used big fans, and the new one used, well, big fans, but they looked more like turbo engines, like jumbo plane engines. So that's maybe an improvement to look at, but as far as the science goes, no, sorry.
No, so you don't think the idea of an airborne carrier is even possible?
Is it possible? Sure, but does it make sense? I mean, look, the reason we have aircraft carriers in the ocean is because planes can't fly that far necessarily, and if you have planes that are sort of positioned near where they need to be, that shortens the time it takes to get from, safe haven to wherever the fighting is. So a helicarrier is a great idea if you want to carry these guys around and you're over some huge landmass. But the physics of it and the engineering of it, unfortunately, literally does not support the idea.
What are the engineering flaws? What is happening with the physics on an aircraft that big?
Well, really, the only thing you have to think about is how much energy, how much lift, how much power does it take to float something that big? Now, in the movie, it's hard to tell, but it looks like it's roughly the same size as an aircraft carrier, and you can look that up. Those things weigh about 100,000 tons, okay? 100,000 tons. So it's really, the amount of power you'd have to have on this helicarrier to power it by itself would be forbidding. Unless you had some sort of fourth dimensional alien technology that fell through space, and you could tap into that somehow.
So do you think that NASA or the government would be able to create something like this eventually? Is the cost-benefit analysis of this project, does it even make any sense?
Not really. I mean, this thing would be an environmental disaster. You can imagine 4 of these turbofans blowing air out at faster than the speed of sound, and if you were to try to hover this thing over any sort of populated land, that would be bad.
The helicarrier in the Avengers film actually did have some kind of cloaking technology built into it. Now, I've seen some prototype cloaking technologies out of Japan, but is this something that you think that we can maybe see in the next decade or so?
Maybe not in the next 10 years, but I've been thinking about stuff like this, and basically to be invisible, all you have to do is measure every photon, every particle of light that hits you, its direction and its color, and then reproduce that on the other side of you going in the same direction. And then it's just going to be as if you've just disappeared, like the light's going right through you. I don't know how you do that exactly, but we've got some interesting technology that can kind of sort of do that. So I'm wondering if in the next 30, 40, 50 years, something like that might be possible.
I'm guessing from our discussion that the helicarrier is purely fictional.
Yeah, it could be done. It's not like, Bruce Banner turning into the Hulk. That wouldn't work. He would basically die a horrible cancerous death if he got exposed to that much gamma rays. So that doesn't work. The helicarrier is at least engineeringly possible, if that's even a word.
Well, there goes my Hulk episode. Thanks a lot, Phil. No, but seriously, thank you so much for being on the show. We enjoyed having you. So unfortunately, this one is going to be a big fictional, but with the hopes of being fact someday. I want to know what you guys think. Do you agree with Phil? How stoked would you be to have your senior cruise on the helicarrier? Leave me a comment below telling me what you think. And you want your mug on fact or fictional? Send me a video telling me what tech you want me to check out. Post your video response below, and if your question is tricky enough, you might see yourself in a future episode. Until next week, I'm Veronica Belmont, and this is Fact or Fictional on TechFeed. Be sure to subscribe to see all of our new shows. Hey, Stu!
Yeah?
Oh, do you think you can jump over a flying helicopter? Surely not even you can do that.
Fine.
Ha! He can do anything! We'll see you guys next time.
The most powerful nuclear weapon that's ever been constructed by the human race was the Tsar bomb in Russia, about 50 to 100 megatons. Now, if you threw that at an asteroid this size, it would laugh in your face, it would bounce right off.